Welcome into the Jon and Lebo show. Alex Lovewitz here with, of course, John Sokoloff. John, how you doing?
Doing great, Alex. Your Red Sox are really killing my Phillies nowadays. And
Yeah,
it's not even that it's a like it's a blowout. Well, last night was pretty pathetic, but the first two I shouldn't even care because they're by far the worst team in baseball. Over 20 games below
would
500.
you say they're the Jets of the MLB?
Oh, well, yeah, yeah, I guess so. I don't know though. I feel like the Phillies have a little more hope right now. But anyway, apples and oranges.
Yeah,
The first two nights losing in devastating fashion, Alex. That's what Philadelphia sports are here for.
yeah.
Devastating fashion, losing on a Monday and Tuesday night. Last night was pretty pathetic, and tonight Chris Sale's on the mound, so they'll probably lose again. But it's interesting you mention the Phillies because as you know, we just launched our website, and I'm writing an article of the only five things that are worse than the Philadelphia Phillies, and I've got a few. Keep them nameless. Don't say anything yet because I know you know them, but I'm trying to think of that last one.
Yeah. I don't. You might have used. I don't know. Because I gave you some suggestions, and I don't want to spoil anything. Orange juice after brushing your teeth. That's always horrible. Crocs. I hate Crocs. I think they're comfortable, but you look like an asshole when you wear them. It's kind of like a Vespa. Like they're fun to ride, but you don't want to be seen in public riding one. It, I'd say Crocs. Just a little side tangent. Crocs are the Vespas of footwear. Yeah.
I think Crocs have, although they're so disgusting, they have too high of an approval rating for me to mention this. What about Amy Winehouse, or is it bad because she's
You
dead?
think she's bad? You think she was about? She has a beautiful voice. I honestly, have you ever heard her sing with Tony Bennett? It's Body and Soul. I've been on YouTube wormhole, and that's
No.
what's it's. Oh my god, it's beautiful. It is
You look
absolutely
that up at
beautiful.
night at 2 a.m. before you go to sleep. You sit in the dark with
Some,
only your computer light on, watching it.
sometimes at night I have trouble falling asleep, so the only way to get there is a good cry. So I'll listen to some beautiful music and I'll just lull myself to sleep with my tears. So it's a beautiful. She has a beautiful voice. It's also unique. I'm a sucker for like really unique voices, and Amy
Like
Winehouse.
Michael McDonald. We do a lot of renditions of him.
Oh my god! Don't get me started on Michael McDonald. I'll start singing "Ain't No Mountain High Enough" like you've never heard. Uh, stop. Uh, Amy Winehouse. I'm a little. There goes my dog. I'm a little stunned. You think Amy Winehouse is like horrible? She was a great singer.
Alex, her most popular song is a
Rehab.
song about her having to go back to rehab. The most disgusting just beat to it I've ever heard in my life.
But her
Like, I
voice
don't
is
want to. I
great.
don't want to listen to that. No, I don't want to listen to her talk about
Listen,
rehab.
listen
And
to her duet with Tony Bennett, and I think you're just saying because I know if there's one thing I know about you, you're a huge Tony Bennett guy. So
is Winehouse her real last name, or is that just something that's super ironic?
she's Jewish. I think that is her real last name. Might be she might have changed it.
Let me
Like
get this up real quick. Amy Winehouse to see if that's her actual last name.
I think it
That can't
is.
be, because then that would be the most ironic thing. It is Amy Jade Winehouse.
Yeah,
Wow,
she's a member of the tribe.
wow.
You have to like her. She's a member
Is
of the
that the
tribe.
most? Okay, please. Is that the most ironic thing of all time? Her last name actually being it. But anyway, we're getting way off topic. Amy Winehouse could very well end up being number 5 on that list. Still in the
You're
works.
the only person that's ever associated Amy Winehouse with just bad, like being bad at singing. Like she's very talented. Like that's part of the reason it was.
Talented. That's why she's where she is. I'm just saying everything else that came with her. Maybe
I
because she's
guess.
dead. Maybe I'm just being a real asshole right now. Just
I
really
think
just
you.
stomping on a grave.
I think you are. This isn't. I don't. This isn't appropriate. Um.
Uh,
So how about them Cleveland Cavaliers? You know.
yeah. Jesus. Great transition there. But yeah. I mean, it was a great finals. Very entertaining. Every game. I had fun watching it. It was probably the best team I've ever seen win a championship pretty easily. I mean, I'm not going to
Yeah.
act like I was coherent when the Sixers lost to the Lakers in '01 to that, and people saying maybe that was the most dominant team. But I mean, maybe they were, but I wasn't alive. I was alive, but I was 5, so I don't really know.
Let me
But
ask you
yeah,
this. Um. Regarding LeBron James, is he's never winning a championship again, right? Like
Who knows?
his window's closed. You look at this Warriors team, and I went on this rant last week that they are ruining the NBA and that the next 5 years are going to be extremely predictable. I won't go down that rabbit hole again. But you have to think that this pretty much ends any shot at LeBron James getting his fourth ring. Like for
I'll
me,
tell
like
you.
it's over.
Here's what I'll say to that. This year, going into free agency, LeBron playing with that chip on his shoulder, LeBron playing where he's an extreme underdog, and this year is different because he came off the year that he just won a title. So I don't like to compare that in that sense. This year, he's coming off losing in that devastating fashion. He wants to be looked at as the greatest of all time, getting dominated by this team. I think that you could see some off-season moves made. I mean, if he really – I know he loves Kevin Love. Obviously, Kyrie's untouchable, but he loves Kevin Love. Team, maybe he'll do something moving around. Maybe he'll get rid of JR and get someone else in there because J.R. Smith this year, besides the last couple games, irrelevant. Maybe he'll try to work with Griffin to get that contract out of there. Who knows? Kevin Love, maybe he'll be on the move. You don't know that. Maybe I could see them moving him somewhere, getting a few picks out of it, or another player, and it would make them have a lot more room. Well, not more room, but someone could fill his void and they'd still be over the luxury tax. Maybe trade and sign a guy like Paul George.
Well, that's the problem. They're over the luxury tax. Like they have the highest payroll in the NBA. Like where do they have room to even make a move? That's my question. Like that's why I think it's over.
To move Love. They would have to move Love if they want.
Even then, though, like how much room do they have? And I'm not an NBA cap expert, but like you have to think like you get rid of Love, you still don't have a lot of room. You still don't have enough money to sign a guy to a max deal. At least I would think that you would not have that kind of money.
Well, Love's on the max right now.
I know,
someone would have to take a little bit less than the max and come if they were to get rid of Love, and then in that same event they would still be over the luxury tax.
But Love was already on the Cavaliers when he signed that max contract, so isn't that a little bit of a different situation there? It's like you can make that type of room for a player already on your team, on your roster. You can't make that type of move for a free agent, though.
Right, but those free agents would also have to make accommodations for the team, and therefore taking less money if they really want to win a title. I've heard a lot of things about guys going different places. I've heard Blake Griffin maybe go to the Celtics. I've heard Hayward maybe going to Miami. There's been a lot of stuff, and it's tough to – remember, we had Brian Windhorst on last year. It's like with free agents, it's like asking, what are you going to have for dinner in 2 months, in August? You say you're going to have something now, but when the time comes, anything can change.
Oh, it's all speculation. And that's – you always have to keep that in mind. Like with the Paul George, my only counter to that is everyone's saying he's going to the Lakers. Why would he go to the Cavaliers? And maybe he's a guy who, unlike Kevin Durant, is too proud to join forces with a superstar, LeBron James caliber. And maybe he wants to start his own thing with the Lakers. I don't know. I haven't heard any reports about that, but I know that he's someone who's probably going to sign with the Lakers. At least that's what people are speculating. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's speculation. You don't know what's going to happen. But for me, like it's not a matter of like who wants to go to the Cavaliers. It's a matter of, do they have the room to make a deal? Do they have the room to bring in another asset? I say no. I think we're more likely to see LeBron James leave Cleveland than, maybe not this year, but in the near future, than them bringing in someone, because he has to realize that like at some point there can't be a move that can be made for the Cavaliers to be put over the top. Maybe he wants to go to the West and compete with the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals instead of the NBA Finals. I don't know, but I think that's another question that we should ask. How long will LeBron James stay in Cleveland? Because it's a possibility that he leaves town to go somewhere else and try to win.
I wish. You know what we should do, Alex? I'm coming up to Boston in the next couple weeks.
Allegedly,
we should play a drinking game and look up every speculation for a star definitely going to the Lakers and take a shot for that. LeBron James, we take a shot. Russell Westbrook, we take a shot. DeMar DeRozan, we take a shot. Paul George, we'd have alcohol poisoning by the end of the night.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I'm telling you. Be advocating for drinking. But yeah, I mean, they're going to have to make a couple moves, and I think LeBron is so smart that he's going to figure it out to at least make it competitive for next year's finals. He's not just going to sit aside and let this dynasty happen, not on his watch. I
I
don't
don't think, but like my whole argument is like you can only do so much. Like LeBron James isn't the almighty Lord. Like he's not going to be able to like split the courts and run. I don't know, but he's not going to be able to like do whatever he wants. The guy has a lot of willpower. I'll give him that. He's a respectable athlete, a great competitor. You can't take that away from him. But you can only do so much. And when you're talking about a team that he's going up against, which is the best roster ever assembled, that isn't going anywhere, you can't top that. Like there's like, regardless of what LeBron James does, whatever team he's on isn't going to be as good as the Warriors. They're not going to be even close. This Cavaliers roster wasn't even close. I don't see any moves that they can make that would put them even close. It's going to be a 5-game series next year in the finals, probably the same matchup. And guess what? LeBron James did have a career year this season, but what is he? 32, going on 33?
Yep.
But he's not going to be this. He's not going to be this good forever. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he takes a little bit of a step back next year.
Yeah, and who knows with this guy? Like who knows what he's got up his sleeve. All I know is he's a really smart guy, and I really think he's going to figure it out. I really do. It's funny that you talk about like your hatred for the Warriors earlier, because remember our poll from this week, talking about all that stuff. One of the most hateable super teams. And granted, this isn't like the year that they were the most hated. We just organized it by the year that those teams won the title, and our three teams were the Warriors this year, the Celtics in 2008, and the Heat in 2010.
Yeah. I voted obviously the Warriors, and we had a lot of interesting responses. One from our most, I want to address just one comment from our most loyal, one of our most loyal listeners, Connor, from the Albany area of New York. He said that the Warriors had the most organic big three or big four. Or team in general out of the three options that we gave. I think that's kind of true, but like
it is true.
It is true, but that's not like if it was just the big three, the three guys that they drafted, Thompson, Curry, and Green, and not KD, they wouldn't be hated. Like if KD was not on the Warriors, they would be liked. I think they would be a very popular team in the NBA, like they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I disagree.
You think people see? I wouldn't hate them. I would say this is extremely impressive, and what the Golden State Warriors did is amazing, and what they have done is amazing. You can't discredit them from that. But I don't hate the big three. I hate the fact that they brought on Kevin Durant to a team that was already stacked. That's what people hate. The fact that they have a super team simply because the guy that they kept beating wanted to join forces, and it just became silly. I don't hate the big three. I respect the hell out of what that Golden State team did. Assembling that team is honestly one of the greatest feats in basketball history. They've had an incredible run, but they would have had that incredible run with or without Kevin Durant. And it's because they added Kevin Durant that people hate them. If they didn't do that, it wouldn't be the same.
I think that you would have probably look if this was 2017 Warriors without Durant. I still think they would have won this poll. The results here, we had a lot of votes. 68% of people said the 2017 Warriors, 12% said the 08 Celtics, and 20% said the 2012-13 Heat. And going by like the national media and fans and just reactions on all forms of social media, that makes sense. The Warriors this year, a lot of people hating Durant. And then the Heat in 2012, well, when they first signed LeBron, everyone hated them for that super team. And then the Celtics.
2010.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah. And then the 2008 Celtics, the least hated, which makes sense. I still think these numbers would be very similar if Durant wasn't there. Now, granted, I think that you would have probably voted for the Heat because I know you're not a big LeBron guy, and I do think your opinion still would have been the same now as it would have been if Durant hadn't signed there.
It wouldn't.
But I really think it would have been the same. People hate Draymond Green. They think Klay Thompson is boring, and they hate Steph Curry. A lot of people.
But it's not about the actual big three that I would hate. It's about the way it was assembled. So if this was the big three and there was no KD, I would definitely choose the Heat. Obviously, I'm not choosing the Celtics. I would choose the Heat over this team. One, because it's LeBron James. The way he handled the decision was horrible. The way he handled the press conference afterwards, saying they were going to win 6 or 7 championships, was a disgrace. And obviously, I just hate LeBron James, and it was closer to what the Warriors did or what the Celtics did, kind of. But you know I think I would still have the wherewithal to be like, the Warriors did this through the draft. Like, I don't hate the Spurs, but the Spurs did the same thing, and it was awesome. I didn't hate the Thunder when they had Harden, Durant, and Westbrook, but they did the same thing. I hate the Warriors because they brought on Kevin Durant. I would not hate them if Kevin Durant was not on this team.
I gotta say this. I've been coming to this realization lately that the NBA, honestly, like how the leagues are going, how the league is going, how the NBA is going right now, how it's so top heavy now more than ever with these top 2 teams, and then everyone else really and then there are, like, some other teams like the Spurs that could make noise, but besides that, the Cavs and Warriors are the main thing. But I kind of compare teams nowadays to the growth of political parties, how the growth of teams have gone. Think about this. There used to be, like, obviously, like, a top few political parties and then, like, a lot of other ones too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just slowly over time, these parties combined platforms so they could win. Maybe they didn't agree on everything, whatever, and maybe they didn't get the best approval from everyone because of whatever, but they would combine these platforms, and then they'd win, like, elections. So then, like, a lot of other teams started doing it. So ultimately, it was
See, but-
it was 2 parties. And now
Yeah.
with the NBA, teams are Durant, like, oh yeah, the Thunder, we could maybe win, but odds are we're not going to win. I'll go to the Warriors. I'll go to that party, and then we'll win this thing.
You know what the difference between that and the game of basketball is? The game of basketball is a game, and it's competitive, and the point is to win and be the best. And there is a lot of underlying storylines and underlying things that go with it. The point of politics, which has kind of escaped modern day politics, is to help your country out and to do the best thing for your country. Hey, listen, if the Warriors were the United States of America and Kevin Durant joined, I'd be all for it, because I want this country to succeed. But this is the game of basketball, and your legacy matters, and it's completely different. You're Kevin Durant. You're the guy. You go somewhere where you are the guy. You don't join an already established big 3 that was already the best team in basketball. That's the difference. It's not about political party. You do that. You join forces because you want to help your country out in the political landscape. You don't do. There's nothing. You're not helping America out by joining the Golden State Warriors, Kevin Durant.
I'm not. You're looking at it too much. I think you're reading into it too much.
I'm just saying the analogy isn't fitting.
Basically, what it is forces, people, or these forces are joining each other to win. That's all it is. People are joining forces to win and just diminishing any other teams, and then these other teams are basically not even trying and tanking. A lot of teams are tanking. Then the second they're eliminated, why not win? These other teams are better than us. If we want to get to these other teams, we're tanking. That's why I think it's like these things assembling. No deeper meaning. Just literally look at it basically for what it is. There used to be a lot of competitive parties. Now there's only a few, because these parties combine platforms so they can win. There used to be a lot of competitive teams. We look at the NBA a few years ago. The Suns won 55 games a few years ago, and they were a 6 seed. There were a lot of competitive teams. Now they're all just combining to really just so they can win. They don't want to they know that their odds of winning are a lot lower than if they all combine forces, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, this is the first time it's happened, and I think I just think it's silly. It is silly. And I'm not, I've already stated my case. It's not. I think it's a weak look if you're a superstar guy. One thing I also want to address beyond this was people who come up with the argument, like, in the 80s, it was, you had the Pistons who were in the finals for 3 straight years. The Lakers were nasty. The Celtics, they dominated. Then the Bulls in the 90s. There's always been dynasties. I wasn't alive in the 1980s, so I'm not going to speak on the 1980s. I'm speaking on current day basketball. So I hate when people are like, no one was complaining then. Most of the people who say no one was complaining then wasn't alive then. So you can't, like, it's just a stupid argument. I think it's a weak move now. I'm not going to compare it to the 1990s or the 1980s, even though if you did, you'd still win the argument because no one joined forces like Kevin Durant did with the Golden State Warriors. It was a different type of game. Just because that stuff went on back then doesn't mean I can't complain about it now. It's still the two are not really related at this point. I'm talking about modern day basketball and the problem with it, and the problem with Kevin Durant and how this affects his legacy. Big picture.
Yeah, and I think that's why the Warriors ended up being the overwhelming favorites in our poll to be the most hated team. And I just think it's more of people are really, this is where it's the most transparent of a team joining forces and whatever, and everything else about it really making it look bad. The fact that they won 73 games, the fact that he's the second best player in the league, all of that stuff. The fact that those first two seasons were the most successful 2-year span for most teams in NBA history. When in reality, though, the NBA has been these teams with multiple stars win championships because that's just how it is.
But they do it through the draft. Like, that's the thing. They do it through the draft. And that's why if the Golden State Warriors never picked up Kevin Durant, I wouldn't be pissed off about this team. I would be in awe of what they are doing because they would still be doing this. And it would be a way better for the NBA because this Cleveland Cavaliers Golden State Warriors series would probably be a little bit closer. So I'm not I resent the fact that people think that like the people who hate the Golden State Warriors would hate them regardless of Kevin Durant was on that team. I wouldn't. I'd probably still complain about the lack of parity in the in the NBA, but I'd still marvel. I'd still be awestruck of what Golden State's doing, and I still am. It is amazing. It's impressive, but I can't get past Kevin Durant and how weak-minded he is. That said, I just want to make that clear. If he was not on that team, I'd have nothing against the Golden State Warriors. I would respect the hell out of them because they did it through the draft, and I still do to some extent.
Yeah, and just know, and the only reason why I really there's a lot of stuff on Twitter that I see of people bitching about the lack of parity in the league, and if you don't like parity, like just don't watch. It's basketball. That's how teams are going to win. It's a 7-game series with only 5 people on the court. The better team's going to win. It's not going to be as exciting. It's not going to be as lucky. And you've come to terms with that. And being angry about the Durant thing to really just cement the fact that there's not going to be parity for a while makes you angry. And that's more than reasonable. But the fact that people complaining about the lack of parity now, I just think the league's never had parity. So I guess you haven't really been paying attention to what you're watching. That's my only thing. But
I guess I think it was different in the 2000s. I think there you look at the Nets, the Pistons, the Lakers. There were a lot of like good teams. There were a lot of really
the
solid
55 win Suns were a 6 seed.
Exactly. So like this is something that when we were growing up in the mid 2000s, we didn't deal with this. I wasn't alive in the I wasn't paying attention to basketball in the late 90s, or I wasn't alive in the 80s. I'm using my reference point, what I've seen in the NBA and the problems that I've seen emerge in my lifetime. I'm not a basketball historian. I'm not going to reference the 1965 Celtics and how they won 8 straight times. I don't care about that. I'm talking about today.
Do you want to this talk of the Warriors' dominance is really draining. Let's try to move over to
we beat a dead horse.
The other side, the other side of these teams that aren't super teams that are trying to. That involves the draft. You saw that Foot Locker commercial, right?
Yeah,
that was. Oh my god!
Oh, so many people on Twitter are fools. They're suckers.
Why? What makes you say that? I think I know where you're going, but elaborate on it.
This was the biggest no-brainer PR move for Lonzo Ball I've ever seen. This is a guy whose only criticism really has been that his father controls his life and makes all of his decisions for him. And I think the irony in this is that his father's the one who had to okay this commercial. I don't think he does this without his father's consent. And everyone else is just like, he's a funny kid. He's respectable. This was Daddy's idea. This was Daddy's idea to do this commercial, and there's nothing funny about a kid making light of having an abusive father. I know that's like a very serious note, but that's what he is. He's an abusive father.
Would you say you hate LeVar Ball?
Would I say I hate LeVar? Yes, I hate him with a passion. If I were Lonzo, I'd cut him off.
I just want to let you know, he's winning. right now by you just talking about him right there.
Hey, I'm
He's
not.
winning
Hey,
by
but I'm not giving him a platform. I'm not Fox Sports One, and I'm not ESPN's First Take giving him a platform. I hate him, and guess what? It's not. It's what you want if you're trying to build a brand, which I guess he is. But what we're gonna see happen is his son's gonna sink. His son's
Yeah,
not gonna have a thriving NBA career because he's not independent. He's daddy's little boy, and he always will be. And it's really a shame.
everything LeVar Ball has done so far has worked out for him, for his son,
No, it
for him.
hasn't. So if he taught if Lonzo Ball falls out of the top three, do
Well, he
you think?
hasn't yet.
But if he does, would you say that part of the reason that he did is because of his father? Because I say yes.
It would definitely have a contributing factor, but I
So
don't.
that's
I think
millions
that's
of
something.
dollars. That's
Yeah,
millions
but
of
that's
dollars.
something you talk about when it happens. It hasn't happened yet. Everything that he's done in the past right now has worked for him. You can hate him. I hate him too. He's annoying. But look what he's done so far. He's gotten himself extreme publicity for him and his brand, no matter what. Even though he's on that thing of any good publicity is good publicity, I think it's annoying. I think it's stupid. But when you look at the reality of it, it's been working so far for him. And maybe some people hate him, but a lot of people like him. People can buy. People are still going to buy his stuff. And once Lonzo gets in the league, LeVar, I don't think he's going to be that guy that's just in the road blocking like his son to have like a good career. I think once that comes, he's going to do whatever to make sure that he's going to do everything that in his power to make sure that he doesn't mess up anything for his son at that point.
Like he did in high school when his son was
I
in
think
high
I
school.
I think those things happen after he already got the offer from UCLA.
It's not excusable.
It's not.
He held player only meetings behind the coach's back. And I guarantee you, if Lonzo Ball is in the NBA and he's not getting the minutes that LeVar thinks he deserves, and LeVar's asked about it, do you think he will be honest?
I don't think anyone's going to care at the NBA level. You can't do. It's not like high school.
Okay,
It's
so he says my son needs to get more minutes, coach.
no one's going
Coach,
to listen to him.
okay, but they're still going to ask him about it. Hey, coach, Lonzo's dad said you're not giving him enough minutes. What are your thoughts?
And then he's going to say, "Yeah, well, he doesn't coach the team." So, and then they'll move on.
Okay, Lonzo. Coach said that coach was saying some disparaging comments about your father. What are your reactions? I stick back behind my dad all the way through. It's not gonna end well, dude. It's not gonna end well. This is gonna be something that's gonna follow him. It's gonna follow him.
I don't think his dad's going to do anything to jeopardize his NBA career once he's in it.
Okay, and nothing he's shown me, nothing that I've seen has shown me that he has
And
the restraint.
mark my
to do
words
that.
right now, he will not fall out of the top three.
You don't think so?
Mark my words, he won't. And even if he did, the majority of the reason for why would not be his dad.
I think it would be part of the reason.
It would be part, and maybe it would be something to consider, but ultimately, that's a franchise-changing pick right there, especially in a draft like this. Teams aren't going to completely have the guy's father as an overweighing factor. And also,
I just go on.
I just think if he's there at 3 too, if he passes, there's been a lot of stuff. The Lakers have probably just been trying to make sure that they're not desperate right now for someone, even though they're probably desperate for Lonzo. They're probably going to take him. But with all the stuff going on, they worked out Josh Jackson twice. They're probably just want people to think that this was a really tough decision for them at 2. When really they're blown away by Lonzo Ball, and it's a no-brainer. They're an organization that's historic. They don't want to look desperate. There's pressure on them to do really well, and they know who they want to move on. Magic Johnson knows, and Rob Pelinka knows. So that's why they bring in Josh Jackson to work out a couple times. They'll bring in Fox. They'll bring in all these other guys to really just show, okay, yeah, like we're interested in all these guys, when really they just want Lonzo Ball. And on draft night, they're going to take him. They don't want to look desperate. However, if he falls to 3, and if they actually call that bluff, then LeVar's back will really be to the wall and whatever. And then you'll hear less from him, I think, because he's really getting less of what he wants. But if he's there at 3, if I'm the Sixers, I shouldn't even remotely make his dad have any weight in the factor of taking him or not. I think okay, the facts. He shoots the best from 3 of most of the top players besides Fultz. He is a great defender, great basketball mind. His usage rate is very low. Him and Ben Simmons, both very smart guys, will be able to figure out how to play together, and you'll make it work with Brett Brown. I think it's a no-brainer for them to take him at 3. That's how I feel about it. And I just think, but I do think the Lakers will end up taking him at 2 because of that. But 1 week from today, when we do our show on draft day, I'm sure there will be a lot of different reports of a lot of different things that will really be clouding our judgment. But for right now, I don't see him going past 2.
I just wrote an article and it hasn't been published yet for our new website. Shout out JonLeboShow.com. Check it out. All of our content will be on it. We're going to start rating there, and we'll have our podcast there. We'll put clips there, all that good stuff. I think you look at a guy, you're a Raiders fan, the old strength and conditioning coach. His son played quarterback, Mar Marinovic. He was an abusive father. They knew he was an abusive father because he pretty much treated his son as a guinea pig and wanted his son didn't want his son to live his own life. He wanted his son to live the way that he wanted him to. The only difference between a guy like that, between a guy like Earl Woods, Tiger Woods' father, and even one other comparison, Joe Jackson, the Jackson 5 father, the only difference between them and LeVar Ball is LeVar Ball is charismatic. The only difference, he is still an abusive father. And if anyone treats him other than that, like people who treat him like he is supportive are morons. You are a moron if you think that LeVar Ball is just supportive. He's not supportive. His motives are not to be supportive. His motives are to capitalize financially off of his son. And it's disgusting. Yeah. And people who give this guy a platform should be ashamed of themselves. That's my little rant right there.
Yeah, I just think it's a different kind of abusive, and I also think that it's not going to affect his son in the NBA, because I think with his game, he has risks, like just with his attitude. I didn't like that right when they lost to Kentucky. The second after that, he's declaring for the draft. I don't like how he played in that Sweet 16 game. I know it's only one game.
Is he selfish?
I don't know if Lonzo. Well, I mean, the way he plays is the definition of unselfish. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think he lacks that competitive edge that guys like Fox, that guys like Jackson, that guys like Fultz have. I really think he does. That is a bigger concern for me than his dad.
Coaches' sons, and I having played sports throughout my youth, and you as well could probably attest to this. Kids who are coaches' sons are usually, ironically, mentally weaker than those who aren't. Like they're not as strong at the end of the games. They're not as strong-willed, strong-minded, and they kind of crumble. That's what I saw. You see a lot of tantrums with kids who were coaches' sons, whether they were talented or not. I think Lonzo Ball probably has a little bit of that. And again, Todd Marinovich, the old quarterback for the Raiders, was a perfect example of that. The guy was he had one purpose his entire life, and that was to be a good football player. And then he becomes a drug addict. You don't want to generalize. Obviously, there are exceptions, but you have to look at a guy's a guy's upbringing. And if it wasn't something that he's only 19 years old, we don't even know what he is. Like, you're not really a full, like, I'm 22, you're 21. We're not who we are going to end up being. We're always changing, and things are going to change. How do we know that he's going to have the mental fortitude, the mental toughness to really last and have a thriving career in the NBA? And I think that's something that you have to consider when drafting this guy. Do you want to move on to the next segment?
Yeah, sure.
A brand new segment. I used to have a segment on the Boston Beat, now defunct Boston Beat. We called it the Other Topic segment. I wanted to complicate it a little bit more, so the new name for it is Stories We Didn't Care Enough About to Dedicate a Full Segment to segment. And yes, there's 2 segments. So we'll start off. Rick Pitino, 5-game suspension for the quote-unquote sex scandal. What are your thoughts, just to fill the audience in? Recruits would have strippers and prostitutes come to their room and whatever, and they'd have a good old-fashioned night, 17, 18-year-olds getting strippers and prostitutes on Rick Pitino's dime. What were your initial thoughts when seeing that?
I think that there are going to be a lot of different I'm sure there's been teams violating recruitment ways for a long time, and they're going to continue to do that. And that's just what it's going to be. I mean, it could be this, but I feel like it could have been something worse too. Like they could have done a worse form of recruiting. The NCAA, a 5-game suspension for that. It's for ACC play, you said?
I think just in general, just 5. I'll look this up, but I think it's just 5 games in general.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like I don't think this is going to change how. I don't think if teams have been recruiting like
It
in
is
a
ACC game. Sorry,
so
cut you off.
that is a big hit for them, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't think it's going to scare other teams away from recruiting in the way that they have been for years. And I mean, if it was something really big, maybe they would crack down, but I don't think it's anything too crazy to worry about. Like if they were banned from tournament play or something, maybe, but I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I'm under I think that if you are a recruit and you are that good at basketball and you are a D1 program with the funds to get strippers, by all means get strippers. Do what you think you have to do to get this recruit there. And if it's not him, he'll go to BYU or something. But like, you don't like I like why does it really matter? Why does it really matter? Like people I hate the people on like talk radio who are like, dude, this is disgusting. Like they're getting recruits for these high school kids. No, it's not. They're having the time of their life. This is awesome for them. And guess what? They're skilled. They have something that can make them money now. Instead, they have to go to college, and I get they go for free, but they should be getting paid something for the time that they put in. That pay is usually actual pay. They get paid by boosters, which happens at most big time schools, SEC schools, ACC, all that stuff. They get paid a lot of these high profile recruits and athletes. But they also get the benefit of these awesome recruitment videos. I went to a high school that had a lot of really high profile Division I athletes, basketball players. It was a powerhouse. I know one kid who was being recruited to a school I won't name, and he showed up and he opened the door, and there were two women waiting for him, and he didn't. And guess what? He didn't even choose that school. Imagine how good the recruitment what the recruitment night was at the school he actually chose, just to put in perspective. It's crazy. Every school does this. Rick Pitino got caught, and I hate Rick Pitino because he was horrible with the Celtics back in the late 90s. And he's just, if you're from Boston, you hate the guy. It's a part of being a Bostonian. But about this at all. Pay your players under the table. These kids don't have a lot of money. They don't have time to work because they're playing basketball or football all the time. Why shouldn't they benefit from their skill? Yes.
Sounds like you actually care about this segment, so maybe it should have not been.
It should have been full segment.
Maybe you shouldn't have made your debut with this. But you also talked about BYU. What do they do for their recruitment? Do they hand out free Bibles or something?
prayer sessions. I also know a kid who was recruited at BYU, and he was the most anti-religious, and I mean anti-religious as he was a sinner. He was the biggest sinner I've ever met in my life.
Probably got kicked out.
He didn't go there. He went to a different school, but he did get kicked out of the school he ended up going to.
Oh, well, there you go. He would have gotten kicked out in 5 minutes. BYU probably.
He would not have lasted a second. We'll move on to the next segment because you caught me. I went on a little bit of a rant. Next one, Greg Robinson, second overall pick back in 2014 behind Jadeveon Clowney. He's traded to the Detroit Lions for a 6th round pick.
Aww. I know Detroit had Taylor Decker, their offensive tackle, got hurt, so maybe Greg Robinson will play that role, but no, the Rams? You mean the Rams swung and missed on the top pick and could have gotten Khalil Mack out of it? No. Oh, that's a shame. The Rams always do this. You think they can develop players? If you have a losing culture and you haven't made the playoffs in 13 years, get this. You're not going to be able to develop top picks if you don't surround them with the right personnel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of it's just development. Some guys just don't develop. You look at Adrian Waddle, the dude from the Cardinals. He was like a 1st round pick. The Patriots got him in a deal for they got him and a 2nd round pick for Chandler Jones. And they also released their 1st round pick Dominique Easley from that same draft year. I think it's 24. It might have been 2015. But just because a guy's a high draft pick doesn't mean he's going to pan out.
Right.
And a lot of times, an undrafted rookie is better than a 1st round guy. So it's a lot of it's just irrelevant.
All right, what's next on this list?
Next one, 5th grader in Hawaii offered a scholarship to the University of Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw his highlight tapes. He sucked. He wasn't good for a kid who was getting offered a D1 scholarship. He wasn't really faster than everyone. I feel like if you were getting offered a scholarship when you're in fifth grade, you have to be like bigger, stronger, faster, more elusive than anyone you're playing against. Didn't see it. Didn't see the D1 talent in this kid.
What if you're just so far ahead in puberty that you're so much better than everyone, and then like the school offers you a big deal at D1 school, and then after that, like everyone catches up to you and you suck, but the school's still like offering
they,
you.
they have to. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take your offer from when I was 11, even though I
Yeah,
didn't, even though I only grew to 5'2".
yeah,
Let me. I got a question for you. If
sure.
you were playing Pop Warner football in fifth grade, you were a running back, like modern day, like you're the same size you are now. You play a 16 game season, you play the 15-minute quarters. What? How many yards do you rush for in that season?
So me, as like my size now as a fifth grader
Your side, like no, you current like 21-year-old John Sokoloff
in Pop Warner League,
playing Pop Warner against
I
11-year-olds.
would score a touchdown with every touch.
So you like reasonably like 5,000 yards,
Yeah, yeah, probably 10, honestly.
probably 10,000 yards. That would
Yeah,
be. I don't know if that'd be fun or disturbing to do. Little side note. All right, next topic before we get too off topic. Pete Rose, his ban from Cooperstown upheld. Your thoughts?
Well, obviously, I don't condone what he did, but at the same time, the baseball writers and everyone who votes for that, they're so stubborn when it comes to Hall of Fame that they piss me off. I get it. I don't think he should be in, but at the same time, with other people, I really think that they should be in quicker, like a Vlad Guerrero type or whatever. I'm so annoyed. Every year, I feel like I'm pissed off about someone not making it, and so I'm not surprised by this.
I don't think Vlad Guerrero is a guy who I'm gonna get up in arms about. I think he'll probably make it. I'll look up his numbers, but I don't think he's a guy who's gonna who is okay. 2,600 hits, 449 home runs. But this is his second year on the ballot. He'll make it eventually. But back to the main point, Pete Rose. Betting on baseball as a manager is awful. In any sport, any situation, you bet on a game that you're playing in or that you're coaching. That's egregious. It's a horrible thing to do. And any punishment you get is warranted. Same goes for Pete Rose. If he was an amazing player, one of the best baseball players to ever live. So it's real tragedy what happened here. Um, but if he stopped gambling today, they'd consider to put him in the Hall of Fame, but he won't. The thing that got him kicked out of the Hall of Fame, the thing that stopped him from getting into Cooperstown, he still does. So one,
Yeah,
he has a real problem. That should be his priority, not Cooperstown. And two, maybe he's just not sorry for what he did. He doesn't see the error in his ways, which I don't know which one's worse, but he deserves to not be inducted. And as long as he keeps gambling, he's not going to get in. It's as simple as that.
yeah.
All right. Big news yesterday. A fight that's been talked about for a while. You know, I don't think anyone really thought that it was really going to happen until the past few months, and that's the Mayweather-McGregor fight, which is scheduled for August 23rd or 28th. It's coming up in a couple months, but
Yeah,
they
26th.
26. So, but they announced it yesterday. They both signed their deals and they're fighting.
Yeah, I mean that fight's going to make so much money based on pay-per-view orders, tickets to the event, just everything, sponsorships, all that shit. They're going to make so much money. People are going to get hyped over it. It's going to, you know what it is? Like the fight's going to suck. I'm already acknowledging the fight's going to suck. But for the average person, you'll go to your friend's house, you'll mooch off them buying it when you watching it for free. You'll eat some free food. You'll give people an excuse to have a get together with their friends or family. I'm all for it.
It's gonna be fun. I honestly can't wait. I'm a sucker for this. Uh, Mayweather's gonna win. I just
He's going
can't
to
see
kill him. He's going to
like
kill him.
there's no way he doesn't. Like it's boxing. Although if McGregor lands a punch, the dude has knockout power. If he lands a good punch, he can't get him down. And how awesome would it be if McGregor gave Floyd Mayweather his first loss in his career? That would be hysterical. That'd be awesome. And for me, the main point is if you're not rooting for McGregor to win this, I don't get where your head's at.
Right.
Mayweather's legitimately an awful person. Um, I hate him. The guy has so much money. Like he couldn't spend it all if he tried. Good for him. But the dude's also he also you can't forget the guy abused his wife, physically abused his wife in front of his kids. If you ever want fuel to hate this man, read his 10-year-old kid at the time. His 10-year-old kid wrote to the police what he witnessed, and it is egregious. I know I use that word. It is horrible. It is really just the worst thing ever. I want McGregor to win this so bad, and McGregor already started off the shit talk war with posting. I don't know if you saw the tweet. He
Yeah.
posted McGregor versus Mayweather and put Floyd Senior on there, which is so it's so funny. Which he's an amazing shit talker, which I want to talk about more next week. Maybe we'll make a pull out of that. But you got to root for McGregor in this one.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not that big of a boxing guy. I'm gonna say, but it's gonna be a good fight. I'm excited for it, and again, it'll be like a nice like little event. It'll be like a holiday, like whatever, and then like you'll watch the fight, you'll be a little bit entertained, you'll forget about it the next day, and then like if you're the casual sports fan, and that'll be it.
I'm more excited for this, honestly, than I was for Pacquiao Mayweather.
Oh yeah, yeah, because McGregor's just like less plain.
How much do you think the pay per view is going to be? Because it was like 99 for Mayweather Pacquiao. It's got to
Oh
be
no,
over 100.
yeah, I saw something like that. I saw they expected to be like in like the 200s.
Jesus. Oh
Yeah.
my, that's ridiculous. Honestly, like that's I don't know. I don't want to go to B Dubs to watch this thing. But that might be the case. I'll stream it illegally. No, I won't. I will. All right. Is that going to do it?
Yeah, that's gonna do it.
All right. So be sure to check out our website, jonandleboshow.com. We got the domain. I thought it'd be taken, but it wasn't. Um, and we'll post blogs on there. We got one up. I wrote one yesterday, posted it about why Kevin Durant is a weak-minded individual and how I hate him. And John, I think you're posting one right now as
I am.
well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a interesting one. I can't wait to hear everyone's feedback, and yeah, we'll be back next week.
All right. We'll see you then.